He's having some blood work done. Had tickets to the Virginia Tech game last week, and but good news is he's had his chemo, and I got a text from Sue, his wife, last night, and there is no cancer in the bone marrow and the biopsy. So good news, and hopefully he's on the mend. So.
Dr. Tom, I can smell it.
Yes, sir.
For those, we're going to be cooking Brunswick stew, Youth for Christ Brunswick stew on the 13th, so you can either put it in the freezer if you're going to eat it, hunk on it the next day. But for those that had it, we take our cooking very seriously, very seriously. And so Brunswick stew is $8 a quart, and I can give several tickets, and it's picked up at our new headquarters on Elm Street on that afternoon.
And what day does that pick up?
13th, October 13th.
Okay, so just from the hurricane, Tanger had 7 centers that were in the path of the hurricane, and we were really blessed that only 2 really have damage, and those are in the Myrtle Beach areas, but they're not bad. But the most important thing is that we kept track of all of our employees, and our employees were safe, and their houses are safe right now, and you know, people didn't lose their cars. Like, and when we went through Harvey last year in Houston, we had people that lost their homes and their cars and had nothing to go back to, and we tried to assist them. So this is, you know, Florence was bad, but in a lot of ways it was a blessing that we didn't have any of those tragedies for our employees. But this weekend, Myrtle Beach has still a hurdle to overcome because the rivers are going to crest. So please keep those people in your prayers, because this weekend is going to be very crucial for that community. So thank you.
Steve.
I got 2 happy dollars. One, this was my first storm with the fixer-upper from hell. And, I mentioned a few times, and I really kind of sweated it out. But it's on kind of a rise, and I watched all the drenching waters drip down from my property into my neighbors. And the second is, and I've mentioned this also, I have adult kids, and something came up just last night, and it's so heartwarming when your adult children do the right thing, something that you just, well, you get a wow from them.
Well, just remember the words of Grandpappy Lewis. He said that multitasking is the art of doing twice as much as you should. My poor friend. Twice as much as you
Italian,
should.
it's easy.
Yeah, twice as much as you should, half as well as you could. And he said, you know, never half-ass 2 things when you can whole-ass 1 thing.
Good words of advice and Grandpa. Buster, it's good to have you back in Italy. Look forward to hearing a little bit more about the trip. Walter? Corey, you need coffee now, or are you ready to introduce?
I gotta have coffee for you. Do you want me to introduce our guests? They're gonna talk about themselves? Okay.
And then go get coffee.
Okay, good. We have
There's a lot of coffee by the
2, not exactly new members, but members that we would like to get to know better. We don't know enough about them yet. Jeff Tillman and Gigi are gonna speak. And I would introduce them, but I think that the whole point is that they're gonna tell you about themselves. So, Gigi, would you mind going first, ladies first?
That's fine.
Okay, great.
I have a prepared statement. Well, I thought in the spirit of getting to know me, I will tell you about how I got to know America. So as you well know, based on my accent, I'm from the deep south.
Of France.
So, exactly. So I had an unusual upbringing in the sense that my parents were French. Then they were part of a cultural program to go to teach in Haiti. So I grew up, I went to Haiti at a young age and ended up growing up in Haiti, which was very interesting because it was very polarized growing up in the sense that, as you know, being a very poor country in the Caribbean, you have that, and then you have the flip side that you don't often see on TV, that is extreme wealth. So there is a country of haves and have-nots. also a country with very political situation, the dictatorship country. So as a kid growing up in Haiti, it was interesting that we had a set of values that we discussed, in our house, in my family. And you saw what you saw in the reality of the country was a completely different set of values. And you always have to deal with that. And also at a very young age, you're taught to be very careful to have discussion with people you know, people in your family, because if you talk to other people, the government may send thugs to your house and kill your parents and yourself. So interesting childhood to go through that and kind of learning how to navigate these situations and basically how to survive them. So after growing up in Haiti, went to school in Haiti, at 17, I was sent to New York City to go to college, and that's where America comes from. Now, didn't know much about the country, did not speak the language, had learned enough to kind of get me around. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of share with you some of the highlights of my coming to America, learning about the culture, learning about the food, learning about the people, and of course coming down to North Carolina. So as I said, 17, I'm in New York City, and I was sharing an apartment with my brother. And basically what he gave me the keys to the apartment, and he gave me a New York City subway map. And I don't know if you ever seen them, but it's like, it goes like this. And he said, okay, here you go, you have everything you need to survive in New York City. So my task was to learn how to navigate. And the first thing I learned is, I cannot make sense about that subway map. What I'm going to do is ask people. And I started talking to people in the street saying, I'm new here, can you show me where to go? Can you show me how to do? What to do. And it was amazing to me that everybody would immediately respond and be willing to help you in a city like New York City, which has a reputation of people are not very friendly. Well, my experience was completely different. Total acceptance, people willing to help you, to show you, how to get around, what to do, and so on. So a couple of things that people shared with me. So my college buddies thought it was very important when you go to a new country to learn about sports. So they took me to a baseball game. Now please understand, I've never heard of baseball. Never seen the game, had no idea what the rules were, absolutely no knowledge of it. So they take me to a Shea Stadium in New York to see the New York Mets. And there's one thing I remember about the Mets. For you baseball fans, there was a Met player called Lee Mazzilli. I don't know if you remember him. Maybe not. The reason I remember him, because he was a heartthrob. He was really I have no idea whether he was a good player or a bad player. But Lee Mazzilli. So we go to the game, we get to the stadium, there are about 8 or 10 of us. We're talking, we're laughing, we're buying hot dogs and all that. And I'm seeing a couple of guys on the field throwing a ball, running around. Nobody's paying attention to them. So finally I tell my friends, I said, when is the game actually starting? They said, oh, it started already. Amazing. So that was my introduction to baseball. One thing that's interesting about getting to a new country, you have to learn the language. And most people come, kind of prepared, enough to get your way around. I'm hungry, I would like to buy some food, things like that. But one thing that I find most interesting are expressions in languages, because they don't have the equivalent in other language. So as an example, when I was in college, one of my buddies told me that he had to go home that weekend. I said, why? Why don't you stay in the city and have fun? He said, oh, I can't go. I can't stay in the city, I have to go home. My brother is tying the knot. I said, your brother is tying the knot? What does that mean? And he said to me, he's getting married. I said, oh my God, that sounds very painful to me. I don't know where that expression came from, but to me, I cannot equate it to getting married. It looks like two different things. Very frustrating thing. Another thing that we use all the time, and we don't realize how different it can sound to others. Something that happened once in a while, I would say something, well, how often this happens to you? And I would get the answer, once in a blue moon. I have no idea what that means. What does that mean? Again, the kind of thing that, you know, that I enjoy listening to and kind of pinpointing and putting in my little memory folder there to share. Sports, we talked about before, baseball. Now when I started working and talking to people, I quickly realized that there's a lot of sport analogies that are used in conversation that can throw people off. So I remember talking to my boss one day and he said, well, this is a slam dunk. I don't know what a slam dunk is. And we were on the phone with people from Europe and they would chat me, what is a slam dunk? Things that need to be explained. Those are all the fun part of, you know, getting to know a country, getting to know the people of a country. Food is very important. And not only I realize I have to know food, but I have to know the history of food. Now you all know about barbecue in North Carolina. There's a Lexington. There are several others that people know that I don't know. But one of my experience was back to New York City. They have lots of delis in New York City. And there's a deli called Ben's Deli. And in the sign, the word Ben is in big letters, but under Ben, in small letters, it says kosher deli. Now I didn't pay attention to the small letters, I just went to Ben. Ben had everything. So I go to the counter, to Ben's Deli, and I said, may I have a cheeseburger? And the guy looked at me and said, are you trying to be funny? I said, no. He said, this is a kosher deli. We don't mix cheese and meat. Don't you know that? I didn't know that. So he gave me the burger on one plate. He gave me a slice of cheese on another plate. Handed me the plate and said, whatever you do with it, that's on your own conscience. My first Christmas, I have to share this with you. My first Christmas, I was in New York for about maybe 6 months. First Christmas, I was not going to go back home. So my student counselor said to me, you know, one of the things that we encourage is immersion in an American family. So since you're not going back home, you have 2 weeks off, we want you to consider going to spend Christmas in an American family. I said, fine. He said, everything is paid for except your transportation. That you have to pay for yourself. Well, being a freshman in college, I didn't have a transportation budget. So I took, you know, look at what I had, came up with about $62 that I could spend. And $62 was the price of a round-trip ticket from New York City to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which was one of hosting family work. So I said, okay, I'll go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Took the Greyhound, went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I understand. You couldn't Google families, you didn't know anything. All you had to do was a sheet of paper that gave you an address and tell you Mrs. So-and-so will meet you at the bus station. So I get to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Mrs. So-and-so, Longenecker, Ruth Longenecker was her name. She's meeting me at the station, and I get out, and you have to understand that I'm a city girl 100%. So I get out of the station and I see Ruth Longenecker, my host, and she's wearing a high collar dress with a white apron, long sleeves, long skirt. Her hair is pulled up and she has a white net around her butt. And I took one look, I said, boy, am I in trouble. Turned out that the Longenakers were Mennonite. Mennonite was one step more modern than Amish. And the main difference was Mennonite can drive cars, and they are allowed to have TVs, and Amish do not. Everything else after that is basically the same. And they had a dairy farm, about 100 cows. I had never been even close to a cow before. Milk was my closest thing to a cow. So she takes me to the farm, very welcoming, warm family. And the very next day she said to me, you know, I thought for something for fun, we can teach you how to milk a cow. I said, wow, that's great. So I go to the farm, and there is a low stool. Anybody has done that before, I don't know, but it's a low stool. You sit very close to the cow, and they give you a bucket. And basically, you're supposed to grab and pull. But there's a science to the grab and pull. I thought, hey, it's easy, I'll grab and pull. Well, I can tell you 2 things. You have to know how to do the grab and pull, which I didn't know. Second of all, cows, speaking from experience, they don't like French manicure. It tickles or it hurts. So that cow started kicking that bucket and that stool. I tell you, I'm lucky I got out alive. So that was the end of my milk of the cow. But the lawmakers did not discourage. They were discouraged. They figured, you know, immersion in a farm family, I have to learn something new. So they said to me the week after, they said to me, we're going to take you to visit a hog farm.
Cool.
I said, wow, that is wonderful. So they took me to visit a hog farm, never been there before. And I didn't realize those animals, they're about this huge. And the first thing I go to visit them, and they're all eating. There's a trough in front of them, and they're eating. And when I take a look at their eating, they're eating chocolate bars. Chocolate bars, guys. And I'm saying, I never thought they would eat chocolate bars. They explained to me, those chocolate bars are irregulars from Hershey in Pennsylvania, the one that don't make the cut. So they buy them in bulk, and they feed the hog. And that's how they get fat. But you know what happened to this day? Every time I see a chocolate bar, I think of the hog. I cannot get it out of my head. So again, immersion in American family, very important. So big change, college in New York City, got married, has a kid, realized, well, you know, 3-hour commute to the city. You can do it for a while, you cannot do it forever. So I come down to decide we need a change of pace. So I had a cousin who lived in Raleigh. He said, come check out North Carolina. It's a nice place. I said, why not? So I came to Raleigh, visited with some recruiters, went to Charlotte, talked to some recruiters, went to Winston-Salem, talked to some recruiters, left resumes around, went back to New York. 2 weeks later, we get a call. There's a job for you in Greensboro. I said, where is Greensboro? I'm looking at a map. I never went there before. So the company invited us to come for the weekend to kind of get a feel for the city to see if we'd like to move. And one thing that they promoted is the weather. They said, you guys are in New York, it's cold, it's snowy, it's terrible over there. Here in North Carolina, we have the perfect weather, you love it. So that was basically in February. So I come to North Carolina in February for the weekend. It's in the middle of an ice storm. I can't even land in Greensboro. We had to land in Raleigh, rent a car. Driving to Greensboro, there were trees down, there was no electricity. I said, wait a second, what happened to the weather? You said it was nice. But that didn't stop us, because we love it, we love the people. We came to Greensboro and we truly enjoy it. So a couple of other things, of course, about North Carolina. I mentioned expressions I learned in New York, things that tickle. But when I got to North Carolina, there was a whole new trove of expressions that I never heard before. So 2 of them that I just learned in the past 2 weeks, I will share with you. One, a friend of mine was talking about an uncle, a great uncle that he had, who was a character in the family, divorced his wife and all that. I said, well, why did she divorce him? And he said to me, well, he was catting around. Never heard that before. I don't know if any of them had it at me. Catting around. I thought, wow, what an expression. But in French, we say, he's taking a detour. That's what we say. I share that with him. He thought it was great. Another expression I learned, there's a guy who does my yard. He comes in the weekend and do my yard. And I've met him several times. I'm usually in my flip-flop, my jean, looking pretty scruffy on weekend. Last week, he came during the week. So I was coming from work. And I got out of the car to see him. I was dressed like that. He looked at me and said, wow, you are high cotton. Never heard it before. Never heard it before. So anyway, I continue to enjoy getting to know the people, getting to be in this country. And then, you know, next stop, Waterloo. I've been in Greensboro for 20 years now. This is my first 2 years in Waterloo. I have enjoyed it tremendously. I think you people are wonderful. The group would tell you I usually make the socials. I love the socials. Whether I need a makeup or not, I just use that as an excuse that I have to go. Pig stock was a new experience. Never heard of pig stock before. Never ever seen a cauldron like Chip had before. That was amazing to me. But I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you for being so welcoming in the group. You guys are wonderful. Thank you.
So you get the truth from you later.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, top that.
I'm not gonna try.
Do it with an accent.
Where is Wally? I speak Southern. Wally. So, I actually did one of these and it was so poorly done. I think I'd been a member about a month and I hadn't seen one done before, so I felt like when Walt asked me to do it, it obviously wasn't very memorable. Because he didn't remember it, which is hopefully, you know. Hopefully I don't worry about it. I did up my little slide this time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through these real quick. So just real quick, oldest son of Marion and Jerry Tillman. I grew up in Archdale. Kind of a classic American family. Dad was a school principal. Mom started out as a teacher and then became a librarian. Went to Trinity High School and then Appalachian State. And I know that we got some app guys in here.
Go about here.
Hopefully app women. Any app women?
My wife is.
There you go. Cool.
No, but I have been here that weather for a while.
It's, let's see. Whoops. So, family, I've got 3 kids. I've got a daughter that lives in Wilmington. She's married, Melinda Burns. She's a teacher and at a charter school. My son's 19. He's a student at GTCC and works at Red Cinema. You ever see him up there? He looks a little bit like me. That's my son Harrison. Emma is a 10th grader at Grimsley, and she's a real good athlete. She plays on the tennis team, and she plays on the soccer team. I think she's going to try out for a basketball team. We'll see how that goes. This is the kids. Emma, Melinda at the bottom, she's beautiful. Super good looking, and my son and I in Utah, we like to snowboard together, so that's what we do. So interestingly enough, I moved to Greensboro after I got out of college and worked for Star Mount Company, and then I met a guy there. Some of you may know Ron Wilson. He's used to be a big real estate guy for Star Mount, and he kind of told me when I guess I was 24 when I worked for them. He was telling me about this little neighborhood right outside our window. Our office was on the corner of Green Valley and Friendly, and he just said, "Oh, you need to just settle down over here somewhere when you get married and want to have kids and stuff." And so we ended up buying a house there. Now my ex-wife, but my wife had gone to Page, so she was really kind of worried about moving into a place where our kids would go to Grimsley, so that was kind of funny. But that happened and that worked out great. But I think 3 years later, I knew we'd done well because Ron actually bought the house kind of right behind us. Our backyards back up to each other, so I always get a kick out of talking to his wife about her husband kind of sold me on the neighborhood, and now they live beside of us, so that worked out well. And then I worked for, and now I publish the Star Mount Life publication, so I've got a Star Mount theme going on in my life for some reason. So, what else about me that needs to be told? There's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out for a lot of very important reasons. Let's see. So I worked in the home furnishings industry for about 18 years, and then I worked for a political consulting group. So if you ever get people do polling and robocalls, and you get a lot of crazy direct mail from political people, that's what we did. So if you got a lot of robocalls, I'll tell you that nobody likes them, but they do them because they work. So that's the way that goes. I'm an area director for Into Publishing. It's a company based out of Wilmington. I've been doing that since 2013. Kind of our tagline is we help turn neighborhoods into communities. So, some of you live in some of the neighborhoods we work with, and it's it kind of, if you ever see what we do, it's pretty cool, and it helps get people together. So it's a lot of fun. What I do for fun is do snowboarding, and I'm going to show you a video just because I think it's cool and it may be boring. What I really like to do is I'm a songwriter. I write songs, and I've written a song for it was a very unheralded movie called Red Dirt Rising, but I'm going to play a little bit of that. I actually have written a song for Gate City Rotary, and I kind of co-opted it a little bit. But if I can get at least 5 people, and I cleared this with the GM, I'm going to go out and play it on the piano outside in the lobby if I can get at least 5 people that want to hear that. But it's got 5, got hands. All right, go ahead. And it could be more than 5. Wrote a song about Paul Laurie when he won the British Open. I think somebody sent it to his agent. He thought it was cool, but that's about as far as that went. This is, I think the Buster, well, I saw this in an ad agency. I was calling on a client, and they had this in their lobby, and it says, never be afraid of who you are, anonymous. Then this is, pardon me here, this is the little song. Now this song actually, they sent me to Nashville. They had people recording it. They had some like famous guitar players playing the guitar parts. So this is not me playing the guitar. In fact, if somebody wanted me to play it this way, I would say, I'm sorry, I can't play it that good.
If I could take you, Carrie James, on a walk through the pine, I could prove to you this heart of mine remains pure and true, and it aches only for you. If I could take you, Carrie James, on a walk through the pines.
All right, it goes on like that. So then, if anybody ever like does GoPro, anybody go out and do GoPro stuff? The trick is, if you don't know it, is when you put it on a ski pole and film yourself. It really works a lot. It's pretty cool. So this is a little place called Solitude in Utah, and when it gets to the bottom, you'll see that there are 0 people in the lift line. That's why they call it Solitude. And I always worry that there's not enough people there, it's going to close down, but it's been there a long time. So this is my son's in front of me, Harrison. He says he's never racing me, but he always wants to be in front of me. So, and that's a little. So I've got that on the pole, and I'm just sort of holding it behind me. And there's my son's in front of me there. I didn't show the ones where I fell.
Wait for the scene because of the
Good spice.
But see, this is the biggest lift. There's nobody there. I mean, it's like right before Christmas, so it's kind of a little slower, but part of the season. No lift lines. Go to Solitude. All right, that's it.
Any questions?
Tell me about that little band you play in, Jeff. You didn't even mention that.
The band, let's see.
Out to lunch.
Out to Lunch is, I'm sort of a guest member of this band. I used to play in a band called Loose Fish, and one of the main guys in that band, Freddie Hutton, grew up here, played in a band in high school called Out to Lunch. So they come through here and play once every couple years, and then sometimes I'll sit in with them, play guitar. I think I played keyboards last time they were in town. We tend to play at dive bars. So, but that's cool. Anyway.
Does your do they have a Facebook page or anything like that?
Pardon?
They have a Facebook page so we know when you're playing with them or anything, catch you in a dive bar.
I doubt it. We're not good at promotion.
Maybe he can just tell you.
I'll let you know, Walt.
Kelly will know when they're playing.
Well, here's to give a happy dollar next time you're gonna play in a dive bar, and that way we will know about it.
I'll send out a note to the Gate City Rotary next time we play.
Good, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's about time we do the raffle. And you know what, you may remember a couple weeks ago, I pulled, our guest speaker pulled a ticket, no one came up. Well, there was a winner, and I don't think he could make his way to the front. Mr. Kaiser, where are you? Ryan? Oh, right in front of me. Come on up here, we gotta do this. So this is a holdover from last week, 2 weeks ago. And I was trying to get the board upstairs for the board meeting with the district governor, and you know, we just got out before he could come up. Yeah, what's the oh no, actually you were the winner, so here, put that back here.
Look at this hole.
Now go ahead. Now draw. He has the most calls. Piggyback.
Extra prize, 774944.
Okay, look at your tickets.
Thank you, Kelly Harold.